He's been doing this in the Twin Cities for 25 years. And he says this is only the second time he has seen this kind of operation that we saw tonight, as we saw law enforcement at 8 o'clock start making a stand. As time went on, we saw more and more law enforcement. They went from street to street, and then they began, Jackie, to make this circle that you described. As they made that circle, it got smaller and smaller, and the group had nowhere to go. And so at that point, the group was going to find their future tonight right here.
Paul, if I could, according to Minneapolis Police Twitter a short time ago, there is an active scene near the intersection of 24th Street East and 10th Avenue South. Law enforcement dispatched to a report of looting going on at a Habitat for Humanity house under construction. So again, not an example, another example, excuse me, of looters and criminals hurting local people, now destroying their houses for low-income people. They've destroyed businesses for low-income people. So again, Minneapolis police on the scene at 24th Street East and 10th Avenue. And so they wrapped up the arrests of that 150 people on Washington Avenue there, when we were just watching a second ago then, as there appears to be another group down the street. Again, I think it's important to say DPS tells us they did find one weapon in that group, those people being charged with violating misdemeanors.
Okay, we want to go now to reporter Eric Rasmussen joining us for our coverage tonight. Eric, where are you and what are you seeing?
Well, I hope you all can see this okay and hear me all right. We are on Portland, headed south, talking to my photographer, Jared. Jared, we're Portland and what?
37th.
In Portland and 37th. As you can see, a huge caravan of cars. You might see some people sitting on top of the cars through the sunroof. We've been in this caravan really with not an option to get out of it for the last 15 or 20 minutes or so. Obviously, part of the demonstrations that have been going on, you've got people pulled over to the side of the road. A lot of people, like the car in front of us, with their hazard lights on. And they've just been steadily making their way south. I'm not going to try to speculate on where they're going, but you know where some of the hot spots, if you will, have been throughout this last week, especially after the sun goes down. Again, people playing music in their cars, sitting on top of the cars, and we also see people on foot now at this intersection as we approach East 38th Street. So again, there's a very fluid situation. No sign of police in this location. However, you have to figure with the show of force we've seen last night and tonight, at some point this caravan is going to run into some police resistance here. And that's something we'll keep an eye on for you and send it back to you in the studio.
Eric, if you can hear me, this is Jackie. You were out in our coverage last night. Can you kind of describe for us the difference in how it felt last night with the clash with protesters and law enforcement versus tonight?
Well, again, to be fully transparent here, I'm just getting my first taste of sort of the crowd tonight. Although I was on this all last week, and again, I'm just going to break off here and tell you that it looks like the crowd has all turned on 38th, so you're no longer seeing that caravan. We did see people getting out of cars and going on foot down 38th. So that's something we're, again, going to keep an eye on. But again, last night what we saw was just a huge show of force from Minneapolis police, the state authorities, and of course even the National Guard. And that changed sort of the tone and tenor of these demonstrations, and people violating the curfew obviously were met with much more force. So that's really the difference. We're going to have to see how tonight plays out before we make any final conclusions about how they're acting tonight.
Hey, Eric, let me ask you this question. So you're going down Portland, you're going south on Portland. You said did they run towards 35 on East 38th Street?
I don't know. I just, I've got a limited view out the windshield here. Going down Portland, everybody took a left on 38th, and a lot of people were doing